Video game secrets and Easter eggs are often tricky to find, but here are some that took years and years to discover. We've kind of touched on some of these in the past, but we figured we'd round up all the good examples here. We got a whopping 25 examples for you with our sources and stuff linked in the description down below, but let's get started off with number 25. Now, Fallout games are so stuffed full of Easter eggs and secrets that some of them might slip through the cracks. Take this Easter egg, for example. We'd wager that a lot of people found it, but just didn't get the reference at all, and there are like 3 of them stacked on top of each other. This one wasn't even discovered, it was actually revealed by the guy who made it, Joel Burgess. The first part of the Easter egg is maybe the most well-known, if you manage to find it, which isn't likely. This whole secret is in an unmarked location called the Vitali Pump House, located behind a door that requires the most referenced video game code of all time, 0451. Inside is a skeleton and a gun. The gun is called the Gainer, which is meant to be a reference to his friend and fellow game dev, Steve Gainer. The skeleton is a reference as well. It's in a pose similar to an infamous death scene from the game Snatcher, one of the earlier games of infamous game developer Hideo Kojima. So there's a lot of layers to this one that we'd probably never get if the guy who made it didn't just come out and explain what it was all meant to be. Now, next over at number 24, The Last of Us Cordyceps Easter egg. There's a secret in the prologue to this game that's been hiding for 7 years, discovered by Anthony Calabrese and created by game designer Kurt Margano, who all but confirmed the secret on Twitter through a kind of convoluted sequence of actions you can make it so actual real-life pictures of a cordyceps infected ant will appear on the TV in the upstairs bedroom. Now, what you have to do to make the image appear is so arbitrary, no wonder nobody really found this thing. You have to go into the bedroom, then go down the stairs, then quit the game and load the autosave, then go back up the stairs and into the bedroom, and for some reason, the ant will be on the TV. It's all messed up and weird and gross. These are the kinds of Easter eggs it takes years for people to find, like one where you just have to try literally everything, even if it doesn't make sense, and hope that something happens. Now, next at number 23, we have Black Ops 3 and the Spinning Heart. Sometimes Easter eggs are so secret that they're not even meant to be found. This was created by Black Ops 3 game developer Drew Marlowe, who explicitly said that this wasn't meant to be found by the public. It went 3 years before anyone found it. The thing is, it was never found legitimately. The only way anyone even knew it existed was through decompiling the game code and figuring out the triggers from there. Multiple individuals came together to actually find this thing that is credited on this Reddit post by lacking a good name. So they deserve all the credit for finding it. The steps you have to follow to trigger this thing are convoluted and extremely specific. Just look at these instructions. They're ridiculous and pretty hard to pull off, even when you know exactly what to do. If you manage to do everything right, then you get this nice little tribute to the game dev's family, complete with a spinning heart object. Isn't that nice? Now, next over at number 22, even games as big as GTA 5 can have secrets that just go undiscovered. This one took only about 3 years to find, but considering how hugely popular the game was and still is pretty impressive. Discovered, at least as far as I know, by a Twitter user named Karma Ingram 1, there's a phone number that you can call that triggers a random explosion somewhere nearby. That's all it does. And it's a completely random number. I have no idea how they found it, maybe just from randomly guessing codes, but hey, either way, this was eventually found to be a thing. This has nothing to do with the actual big mystery of GTA 5, you know, the whole Mount Chiliad secret we've talked about a million times. But with that never really seemingly amounting to anything, we're stuck with the Easter egg table scraps like this. It's nothing incredible, but it's kind of shocking that it went undiscovered for as long as it did, just by the sheer number of people playing GTA 5. Now, next at number 21, we have The Witcher 3 and the Uncle Sam Easter egg. This is a game, obviously, that's just like a treasure trove of Easter eggs. Every time it seems like we've seen them all, someone else somehow manages to find one hiding somewhere else. This is a relatively small Easter egg, and it's one that people have at least been aware of for a while. Some people managed to find the texture for it after digging through the game files, but it didn't become widely known until a YouTuber named X Latalis made a video about it in early 2024. They technically didn't find this though. A Reddit user posted about this find a few months before their video, but either way, this is an Easter egg that went relatively unknown for 9 years. Yes, it's been that long for The Witcher 3. So to see this one, you have to click through the wall of the office in Novigrad, and you'll find this texture on the wall with a pointing guard and a message that says, CDPR needs you. It's a parody of those famous World War II, I think, recruitment posters featuring Uncle Sam, and it's just hiding in a random spot under Novigrad. Now down at number 20, one of my favorites, the Resident Evil 4 mystery person. Discovered by a YouTuber named Slippy Slides, there's a mysterious individual you can see if you look extremely closely at a specific spot after the cutscene where the helicopter crashes near the end of the game. Playing the game normally, this is not easy to see at all, even if you know exactly where to look. Of course, with the game being available on PC, players have just used a no-clip mode to get a closer look at this guy, which appears to just be a random person in a green coat. Nobody knows exactly who this is supposed to be, or why they're in the game at all. If it's a dev, then it's not anybody people have been able to identify, so the actual name of this Easter egg is still a mystery. It took 12 years for anyone to even notice it was there, and we still don't know who it's meant to be or why it's here. I love a good mystery like this. Now at number 19, it's Batman Arkham City and the Calendar Man's secret date. Now, it took almost a year for anyone to find the hidden room in Batman Arkham Asylum, and that was only after the devs heavily hinted at the secret's existence. Players managed to find most of the secrets in Arkham City, including a hidden room teasing the third game, but there was one secret that went unnoticed for, I think, like a good 3 years. Once again, it took the developers heavily hinting at it for it to be found. In Arkham City, you can find Calendar Man locked up beneath the courthouse. Depending on the day, he'll have a new message, and players pretty quickly discovered all the obvious ones like Christmas, New Year's, Easter, stuff like that. There was one message everybody missed, though. This one was only said if you set your console date to the day Rocksteady was founded. And not just in the month and the day, but also the year. If done correctly, Calendar Man gives a cryptic clue about being there in the beginning and being there in the end.
I was there at your beginning, and I will be there at your end.
Which ended up being 100% true, as you can spot Calendar Man in the crowd during the golden ending for the final game in the trilogy, Batman Arkham Knight. Pretty wild, huh? Now, next over at number 18, we have Gears 3 and the Locust Hunt. You'd think Easter eggs obsessives would have found everything in something like Gears of War 3. These games love their little secrets. But for whatever reason, this one took 5 years for anyone to find. Credit for the discovery goes to YouTuber TacCom, who explains in a video how this secret works. What you have to do is shoot 3 hidden coins in the level House of Sand. If you do it in the right order, then you'll trigger this secret shooting gallery that's like a kind of a take on Duck Hunt. Now, it's a pretty elaborate little secret with a new area and new game mechanics and everything. Usually you don't see this kind of effort put into this small of an Easter egg, but Gears games always put in the extra work when it comes to this stuff, and we love this one. We have Nier Automata and skipping to the ending. This was discovered by Lance McDonald while exploring the game's code, and this secret allows players to skip from the prologue of the game all the way to the quote-unquote true ending, starting off at the end credits. This method to unlock the secret is really obscure, and probably why it went undiscovered and unnoticed for so long. As stated by the director of the game, Yoko Taro, it was 3 years and 10 months before this final secret was discovered. The trick here is that you need to beat the big boss fight of the prologue, then stand between 2 sets of barrels in the boss room. Then you need to input a special code, which, as some people have pointed out, was also in another Platinum game, Bayonetta 2, and if you do it right, then you've skipped through the entire game.
Player, have anything you would like to say to who are suffering because they cannot finish Nier Automata?
It's not a satisfying victory, and it's completely meaningless if you're playing the game for the first time because it literally just skips straight to the end credits. But for people who want to experience the game's kind of unorthodox climax again, well, this code maybe will save you some time. Next, over at number 16, sometimes Easter eggs aren't meant to be found, and other times they're absolutely supposed to be found, but just, again, for whatever reason, nobody does. And this secret remained hidden in Mass Effect 3 for nearly 10 years, and wasn't widely known until a developer who put the secret in went on Reddit and spilled the beans. To trigger this secret, you have to walk through the solar panels at the start of the Mars mission in a specific way. And if you do, then the Mars rover will roll up to you and give you a little nod. Now, this is one of those Easter eggs, clearly, they put some effort into. It's a new model and it has its own unique animation. But I guess the method to finding it was just a little too hidden, because Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out before this secret was widely reported about. Now over at number 15, Halo 3's Happy Birthday. I mean, Bungie loved putting strange little secrets and Easter eggs in their games that seemed to be designed primarily to entertain the developers, the people behind the scenes. Take this one, for example. If you set your console date to December 25th and start the game, then in the loading screen, you can use the thumbsticks to pan down and see a secret message that just says, "Happy birthday, Lauren." This was put into the game by programmer Adrian Perez for his wife. Bungie actually hinted at the existence of the secret, so it's likely that someone has found it before, but it wasn't widely known until a YouTuber named Lord Zed posted a popular video about it. This was 7 or 8 years after Halo 3 originally came out, so this is one Easter egg that went unnoticed for a while. Now over at number 14, one of the most popular speedrunning games of all time, Punch-Out!, is a game people have figured out really front to back, top to bottom, but even with all that scrutiny, there was one little secret that managed to slip through the cracks. It took a whopping 29 years for anyone to figure this out, but in certain fights, if you pay close attention to the bearded man in the crowd to the left of the fighters, he'll nod at the exact right moment for you to hit a knockout punch. The circumstances to trigger this are a little more complex than just waiting for the guy to nod, but like if everything actually is correctly set up, then it'll work every time. This one was discovered by a YouTuber named Midwestern Housewives, and all the props go to them. Next, over at number 13, hidden in the pretty good co-op campaign for the previous gen version of Splinter Cell Double Agent is this elaborate Call of Duty Zombies style Easter egg, which has multiple steps that span the entire campaign. It took more than 4 years for anyone to properly explore this secret. So credit for finding it goes to Julian Dunay, if I'm saying that right, who has unfortunately deleted the video for it, probably because it was posted on Vimeo. There was a time when people would just put random stuff like this on Vimeo, but YouTube kind of took over. But anyway, it just so happens that Julian wasn't some random guy. He was with his friend, who was the level level designer who created the Easter egg. It really is a complex thing involving finding hidden coins and vending machines and giving things to hidden seals, and then there are even dead ends. So if you give the seal the wrong thing, then you'll fail the quest. Yeah, I forgot to mention there are seals, like literal seals, like the animals. You're helping out 5 baby alien seals and trying to get them back to their home planet. This is probably the most elaborate Easter egg yet on here, and nobody even knew about it until the actual developer just went online and explained the whole thing. Next, over at number 12, this more difficult version of Akuma appears as a secret boss in Street Fighter Alpha 2, but there was actually a secret method to play as him that remained hidden for nearly 25 years. Seriously, there's a secret character in Street Fighter that almost nobody knew about. It wasn't until a modder named Gizara reverse engineered the game to discover the steps required to unlock Shin Akuma. Now, the requirements are completely ridiculous. You have to beat arcade mode, enter KAJ as your initials, then start the game over, select the mode, and hold down a certain button combo on the second controller, then select Akuma and hold down start plus another button to actually get this Shin Akuma. It's a marvel this thing went undiscovered for so long, because everybody loves Street Fighter. At least some people knew about it though. Like, there's a Twitter post from Yamada Arthur talking about it in 2015, but this secret was mostly unknown until 2021. Now at number 11, let's talk Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. It's no surprise that the developer Retro Studios would sneak in a Metroid Easter egg or two into the game. I mean, they did work on the Metroid Prime series before making Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze, but most people found the Samus ship Easter egg and then assumed that was all there was. It took 4 years for someone to find the other Metroid Easter egg. Credit to this discovery goes to Shane Marchis, who managed to find the elusive alien creature hiding in the background of level 4-3. The trick to making it appear is to go through this underwater tunnel, then turn around and then go back through it. So to get where the Metroid is, you have to deliberately take damage. It's an intuitive and easy to miss secret, but that's why it was so hard to find. And there it is. Next, over at number 10, it's The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and a secret method to instantly kill the Forbidden Woods boss. This stuff, called Forest Water, which is part of a side quest here, it doesn't appear to have any useful functions, but if you collect it and hold on to it through the entire Forbidden Woods area, then you can use it on a boss and kill it instantly. This wasn't widely known until a YouTuber named fish_waffle65 attempted the trick, and it somehow worked. You gotta be careful with the water, because one wrong move and you'll lose it, but if you want to kill the Forbidden Woods boss quickly, then just pour some water on it. This one wasn't known until I think like 14 years after Wind Waker came out, which is a long time for anything, but especially a Nintendo game as popular as this one. Now at number 9, let's talk about the original Spider-Man game for PlayStation 1. It was developed by Neversoft, the guys behind Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This game remains a fan favorite all these years later, so it's actually pretty shocking that there's actually a secret in the game that nobody knew about for almost 22 years. It's not even all that hard to find. It's just one of those things that just happened to slip by unnoticed. To find it, just go to the third speed training section, find this section of wall, and shoot some webs at it. It'll move to reveal a low poly picture of the dev team. Now, credit for this discovery seems to go to Reddit user Luge95 Ramos. Like a few of these, people probably did find this Easter egg back in the day, but it wasn't widely documented anywhere, and most guides didn't mention it until he posted a video about it. One user in the comments remembers finding it, which makes sense because it's not all that hidden, but for the most part, this was widely unknown, or at least widely undocumented, for nearly 22 years. Next, over at number 8, one of the all-time great Easter eggs went relatively unnoticed for years. It wasn't until 2010, 9 years after Wave Race Blue Storm came out, did people finally find out the secret to unlocking this, the evil or sarcastic announcer. Now, as far as we can tell, credit to this discovery goes to a NeoGAF forum poster named Raul Duke, who just dropped this code out of nowhere. They don't explain how they found it. I have no idea how they did, so there's no use speculating. It just exists. It's out there now. Maybe he's a developer. I don't know. So change the audio waveform to the correct settings and input the code, and the announcer will switch from being, the generically pleasant announcer guy you're used to, and now they're a total jerk, insulting you left and right, and it is absolutely amazing.
Ooh, a turbo! Super! The turbo's wasted on you. You're about 1 second ahead. That's the yellow buoys on the left. You're wasting my time. Waste of time.
Next, over at number 7, let's talk Black Ops 2 and Thor's hammer Easter egg that took years to solve. This Easter egg wasn't unknown, but it took a long time for anyone to finally figure out what to do with it. In one of the earliest levels of Black Ops 2 in the campaign, you can find Thor's hammer in a little cave behind some bushes. When you interact with it, a message pops up that says that you are not worthy. For years, it seemed like that's all there was to it, but about 7 years after the game came out, players finally figured out the trick. Credit goes to YouTuber Manu Wesker for putting in the work for finding this. So with the help of fans, they managed to figure out that the trick to it is to reach the stairs near the hammer without being noticed. You have to play stealthily until the alarms go off automatically. Then Thor's hammer will actually work. All it does is give you infinite ammo for the Titus 6, and only the Titus 6, which isn't bad, but it's not great. Hey, not every Easter egg that takes years to find is actually worth the trouble, after all. Next at number 6, y'all know Splatoon, right? That cute little multiplayer game. It's supposed to be for all ages, but it's got a vulgar secret hidden in plain sight. These games have their own language, and it took a group of dedicated players around 5 years to fully decipher it. The hardest part was finding all the letters in the alphabet, and translation efforts weren't made easy with the many parts of the game where the language is just nonsense or translates just to kind of filler text. Most of the text on signs is pretty obvious, but there are some satisfying surprises in here, like the language on the clothing seller's shirt. This is Gelfonso, and he cycles between a few different pieces of apparel when he pops up, but there's one that's a white shirt with a red splotch. If you take the text on that shirt and translate it to English, you get FU. It's a Splatoon shirt that drops the actual full F-bomb. Now, a lot of people worked to translate this language. They did a great job, but it seems like the person responsible for finding the shirt text was a Twitter user named Rasikas. Now over at number 5, Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. Found in the Dream level, there's a giant floating crab. You can shoot it for a secret, but there's another little Easter egg here that nobody noticed for around 15 years. At least that's the case according to VGFacts.com, which claims that this secret was found in 2022. The trick to triggering the secret is to find the giant crab float, but instead of shooting it, just aim at it with your sniper scope for around a minute. If done correctly, you'll get a message that says, attack its weak point for massive damage, which is, of course, a rib on the E3 2006 Sony press conference that will live on in infamy. Giant enemy crab, it's a whole thing.
Genji 2 is an action game which is based on Japanese history. The stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan. So here's this giant enemy crab. Attack its weak point for massive damage.
Now, Silent Hill 2. It took almost 17 years for anyone to discover this specific one. So Twitter user punk_7890 posted 2 secret codes that unlock bonus features in the game. Some of these people were aware of, they just didn't know how to get them to work in-game. Previously, these features were only found in the game code. Nobody knew how to actually use them. The 2 hidden features are a minimap and the ability to save anywhere, which requires some pretty painful button combos to trigger. The real kicker is that those codes can only be used after finishing the secret dog ending, the infamous one. So there are a lot of restrictions for some features that are mostly just kind of interesting rather than actually helpful. Next at number 3, we have Mario hidden in a Sega Saturn game. Now, in 1985, the Nintendo-Sega rivalry was still red hot, so this is pretty unexpected. This game, Astal, was meant to be a system seller. Its pixel art was some of the best at the time, and while it's mostly forgotten about today, it was kind of a big deal for a fleeting moment. It took 26 years though before anyone knew, but Twitter user Yoshino Kentaru, if I'm saying that right, managed to dig through the game files where they discovered this very unusual depiction of Mario. These days, with first-party games popping up on rival hardware all the time, this might not seem like a big deal, but back then, any crossover between something like Sega and Nintendo was crazy. It was forbidden. It was not going to happen. So seeing a different version of Mario in a Sega exclusive game, no less, is just kind of interesting and weird. Now over at number 2, the Titanfall Time Cop Easter egg. It took 6 years and the help of the developers for this Easter egg to finally be found. It started with Apex Legends developer Frozen Fro leaving clues online after getting the blessing from the guy who made the Easter egg. Only a day later, a speedrunner named NextRacer11 found the secret hidden in the level Cause of Effect. Now the trick here is that you have to go to a certain spot, which in one timeline is a burning pit of fire, and shift time 88 times in a row. Done correctly, it'll make a door appear, which has a room with a bizarre tableau. So if you've seen the movie Time Cop, you might recognize what you're looking at here. It's a scene where Van Damme does the splits and electrocutes the bad guy, which sounds ridiculous because it is, but the movie rules and this reference rules. Now at number 1, Spitfire, Channel F. It took around 42 years for someone to find this thing. The game was Spitfire, like I said, and it was a game for the Fairchild Channel F, a relatively obscure console from way back in 1976. It cost $170 back then, which is now, we believe, over $900 in today's money. It's expensive, but look at those graphics. The only way this Easter egg was found was by looking at the game code as a big block of raw pixel images and looking for anything unusual. So people doing this managed to find a code, which could be inputted by pressing 3 on the start screen. The password is long. It's like 48 individual characters, so there's no way anyone could guess it. And what do you get for all that trouble? A message that says, done by Michael K. Glass. I mean, it was 1977. What did you expect? A big crazy thing? Yes, it's technically nothing mind-blowing, but it's an important achievement because it's actually older than the first reported video game Easter egg by like 2 years. Most say that the first Easter egg was found in the game Adventure from 1979, but it wasn't the actual first, and neither was Spitfire. The 1973 game Moonlander is the actual first, at least as far as we know. Moonlander's secret wasn't particularly well hidden, while Spitfire's secret very much was. It didn't even work on original hardware. It only works if you emulate it. It's all a mess, but if you want to read up on it, it'll be linked in the description down below. It's a great story with great research behind it, and all of these are. So let us know in the comments what you think of these 25 Easter eggs that took a long time to discover. Be it fans on their own or with the help of the game's creators, let's talk about this stuff. Now, if you like this video and you like talking games with us every single day, clicking the like button's all you gotta do. It really helps us. And if you're new, consider subscribing, maybe hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.